Welcome back. Today's adventure will be a special one. Today will be the end of our historical marker adventures. That's right, we have finally reached the end for now. But before we dive in and get started, I would like to say thank you to everyone who subscribed or just stopped by to see what this channel was all about. Looking back at all my work, I see 20 years of research and chasing down leads to get to where we're at today. Again, thanks for everyone's support in this endeavor. So let's go ahead and start today's adventure by exploring Nevada State Historical Markers numbers 266 through 274. Our first marker finds us in Virginia City. Located on the corner of East Street and Union Street is the Comstock History Center and our first marker. So let's go ahead and take a look at marker number 266, African Americans and the Boston Saloon. African Americans and the Boston Saloon. Between 1866 and 1875, a remarkable business thrived in Virginia City. Freeborn William A. G. Brown operated the Boston Saloon, serving Virginia City's African Americans. Archaeologists have revealed that Brown offered his customers finely prepared meals with the best cuts of meat. Shortly after Brown sold his business, the Great Fire of 1875 swept through town and destroyed the building. There were rarely more than 100 African Americans living in Virginia City during its height in the 1860s, but they played varied and important roles in the community. Some African Americans pursued work as laborers, porters, and barbers. Others became affluent business owners, and a prominent doctor won widespread respect. By the 1870s, African American children attended integrated schools. However, the decline of mining by 1880 sent many Nevadans, including African Americans, elsewhere. When mining in the state revived in the early 1900s, a shift at the federal, state, and local levels that implemented segregation via law or practice kept most African American families from returning to communities like Virginia City. The site of the Boston Saloon is located uphill and to the left of this location at the corner of Union and D Streets, now occupied by the Bucket of Blood Saloon parking lot. Nevada State Historical Marker number 266. Now let's turn around and travel a little over 21 miles west. Located off State Route 431 towards the base of the Sierras is the Glena Creek Regional Park, and tucked back in the woods is a small fishing pond and an old rustic stone building, and our next marker, marker number 267, Galena Creek Fish Hatchery. Galena Creek Fish Hatchery. The Glena Fish Hatchery represents an attempt to make amends after Nevada's Comstock lode ravaged the region's ecosystem in the 1860s and 1870s. Fishing decimated local streams and lakes to feed a growing population. Eventually, restocking became an important goal. Washoe County operated this hatchery from 1931 to 1949 as an auxiliary to their main facility on the Truckee River in Reno. Galena Creek was ideal because of the continuous supply of uncontaminated water. The hatchery reflects a trend beginning in the 1920s to combine habitat conservation and recreational development. The county ceased hatchery operations in 1949. After that, the Boy Scouts, the Sierra Sage Council of Campfires Incorporated, and the Washoe Bowmen and Sierra Archers used the site. In 1994, Washoe County reacquired the property as part of the Galena Creek Regional Park with plans to restore the building for community use. Nevada State Historical Marker number 267. Our next marker unfortunately falls victim to the unassigned or unknown status within the state marker system. So let's go ahead and skip over number 268 for now and move on to our next marker in the series. So now, 336 miles east of marker number 267 finds us in Ely. Located across the street from the White Pine Chamber of Commerce on Ottoman Street is a small park and our next marker. Marker number 269, Ely, Forging the Link. Ely, Forging the Link. James H. Simpson put the future site of Ely on the map during his 1859 exploration through the Great Basin. In the 1860s, silver and gold deposits were discovered nearby in what became the Robinson Mining District. Ely developed as a regional center, becoming the White Pine County seat in 1887. The area grew dramatically in the early 1900s with major copper discoveries. The Nevada Northern Railway, headquartered in East Ely, carried ore from the mines at Ruth to the McGill smelter, as well as connecting Ely to the world on its 150-mile route north to the Transcontinental Railroad. The towns of eastern Nevada were joined during the late 19th century by a network of wagon roads. In 1913, the road through Ely was incorporated into the Transcontinental Lincoln Highway, though it was not paved until 1922. Ely had over 2,000 residents and offered many services, making it an excellent stopping place on the long road across the Great Basin. When the copper industry declined after World War I, the struggling town turned to travelers for income. The Lincoln Highway was designated US 50 in 1926. By mid-century, the popularity of the Victory Highway, now Interstate 80, reduced US 50 to the status of the loneliest road in America. In addition to the Lincoln Highway, two other major national roadways converge at Ely. The Midland Trail, designated Route 6 in 1937, was an early coast-to-coast automobile road that also connected Ely to Tonopah in Southern California. US 93, which passes north and south through Ely, takes travelers from Canada almost to the Mexican border. Nevada State Historical Marker, number 269. Next, let's go ahead and travel 243 miles south to Las Vegas now. Located at 861 East Bridger Avenue is the Junior League of Las Vegas Administrative Headquarters, and our next marker number 270, the Morelli House. The Morelli House. The Morelli House is a classic example of Las Vegas mid-century residential architecture. It was built in 1959 by the Sands Hotel orchestra leader Antonio Morelli and his wife Helen. Originally located at 52 Country Club Lane in the former Desert Inn Country Club Estates, now the Wynn Resort, the modernistic house then featured an open plan that integrated interior and exterior spaces, natural materials, and the latest innovative home appliances. In 2001, the Junior League of Las Vegas relocated the Morelli House to its present site and completed restoration in 2009. Listed 2001, Nevada State Register of Historic Places. Listed 2007, City of Las Vegas Historic Property Register. This historic preservation project was funded in part by the Nevada Commission of Cultural Affairs and through generous donations from the Las Vegas community and members of the Junior League. Nevada State Historical Marker, number 270. Let's travel up to the Fallon area now. Located along US 50 east of Fallon used to be the Salt Wells Villa, an old brothel, now an RV dump station for people returning from Sand Mountain. If we follow the dirt road behind the dump station for 6¼ miles towards the Cocoon Mountains, we will discover a geothermal power plant and our next marker number 271, Pony Express Route. Pony Express Route 1860, Sesquicentennial, 2010. 150 years ago, the Pony Express was founded by W.H. Russell, Alexander Majors, and William B. Waddell, operators of the Overland Stage Line of Leavenworth, Kansas. During a visit to Washington, Mr. Russell was urged by California Senator William Gwynn to expand the Overland Stage operation to facilitate faster mail service. Mr. Russell's partners hesitated due to projected high costs. He persevered, and the first ride began on April 3, 1860. Overland stagecoach stations were located every 10 to 12 miles as far as Salt Lake City. 80 skilled and experienced riders, 400 horses, and approximately 184 stations were built in 2 months. There were 30 stations across Nevada, from Deep Creek, Utah to Genoa at the eastern base of the Sierra. The swift riders carried the mail 2,000 miles in 10 days from St. Joseph, Missouri to Sacramento, California. The Pony improved nationwide communication, western expansion, and was credited with California's continued participation in the Union at the beginning of the Civil War. A high price was paid for the improved communication, including the cost to post a letter and the trials of the employees during the ride. The cost of mailing a letter, as advertised, was not economical. Letters less than a quarter ounce cost $5, and so on. The riders, station masters, and division agents faced hostile environments, including poor housing, extreme heat and cold, poor access to potable water, food, and dangers due to the conflicts between Native Americans and the newcomers to the West. On October 24, 1861, the telegraph was born and the last ride was completed. What had taken 10 days could be achieved in 10 seconds, thus ending the Pony Express. But the memory of the riders and the route live on. Nevada State Historical Marker, number 271. Now, for our next 2 markers, this will be somewhat on the disappointing side, and sadly, this makes 3 markers in one series where we have to see them as either unassigned, permanently removed, missing, or forgotten by the State Historical Preservation Office. I'll continue to dig a little deeper to try to find out the status and issues with these 2 markers. So as for now, let's go ahead and skip markers numbers 272 and 273 and move on to our last marker in our adventure. We have finally reached our last marker, so before we cover it, I would just like to thank everyone who stopped by and viewed these videos, and for those who supported me in this project. I hope it was educational and made people stop and think about their state and local history that surrounds us all. So let's go ahead and get started on our last marker as of now. Thanks again, and here is marker number 274, Nevada State Hospital. Nevada State Hospital. The Nevada State Insane Asylum opened its doors on July 1, 1882, later known as the Nevada State Hospital. The state constructed the asylum 3 miles east of Reno and acquired a 1/6 interest in the nearby Sullivan Ditch. The first building at the hospital was a 4-story Second Empire-style building designed by Andrew F. Mackey and Goth Highest of Virginia City, with room for 200 patients. The asylum was largely self-sufficient, operating as a working farm. Asylum staff and patients cultivated alfalfa fields, orchards, and gardens using water from the Sullivan Ditch, as well as poultry yards and a dairy. Support buildings included barns, a boiler plant, laundry facilities, an ice house, machine shops, a morgue, and a cemetery. A river-powered generator supplied electricity to the hospital. As the patient population grew, the state added new buildings to the grounds and remodeled existing buildings, many designed by prominent local architects, including Frederick D. Longchamps, Edward Parsons, Ray Hellman, Albert Ailgree, and Weldon Harrison. The original building was condemned in the 1950s and demolished in 1960. Nevada State Historical Marker number 274.